Welcome back, everyone. Today, prepare yourselves for a spine-chilling journey into the realm of the macabre. We're about to unravel a tale that delves into the darkest corners of human existence. Before we embark on this eerie narrative, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on our intriguing content. Now, let's delve into the shadows of Indonesia's haunting past, where a gripping story unfolds in the twisted tapestry of horror. Cannibalism is a phenomenon where one living creature consumes another of the same kind. For example, a dog eating another dog, or a human consuming another human. The term is derived from the Spanish word cannibal, meaning a person from the Caribbean, where explorers first encountered this phenomenon. Certainly, we've heard of numerous cases of cannibalism throughout history and around the world. Here are some famous cases. Jeffrey Dahmer, an American serial killer who practiced necrophilia and cannibalism between 1978 and 1991. Albert Fish, an American serial killer and cannibal who confessed to killing at least 3 boys between 1924 and 1928. Issei Sagawa, a Japanese man who killed and ate a Dutch student named René Hartfeldt in 1981. Armin Meiwes, a German computer technician who killed and ate a man named Bernd Jürgen Brandes in 2001. In this video, we'll present the mysterious story of a cannibal named Sumanto from Indonesia, which occurred in 2003. Let's start. As a reminder, this content is carefully crafted to provide insight, not to celebrate or promote violent actions. Okay, let's start telling the story of Sumanto's life from childhood. Sumanto's childhood was relatively affluent due to the inheritance from his grandparents. He began attending elementary school, and his odd nature started to show, though he managed to graduate. Since childhood, Sumanto often consumed live animals, and this unusual habit led to him being frequently bullied by his peers. Despite failing to enter a public junior high school due to insufficient exam scores, Sumanto repeated a year and was eventually accepted to his chosen junior high school. The wealth from his grandparents eventually dwindled. His new school was 3 kilometers away from home, forcing Sumanto to walk every day. After school, he herded goats and searched for grass, and in the evenings, he studied religious knowledge in the nearby mosque. During this period, Sumanto began to experience economic difficulties in his family. After junior high school, Sumanto became lazy in his studies. In his 3rd year, he decided to drop out, claiming he wanted to work. As a teenager, Sumanto dated a girl named Rasmini, who loved him. However, their relationship was always disrupted by Wario, Sumanto's friend, and his gang, who beat Sumanto in front of Rasmini. Since then, Sumanto frequently learned mystical knowledge to defend himself. He did whatever it took to gain mystical powers, including invincibility to sharp weapons, immunity to diseases, wealth acquisition, and even learning how to resurrect the dead. To graduate from his studies, he had to sacrifice the lives of 7 people to demonstrate his ability to bring them back to life. Sumanto bid farewell to his lover Rasmini and left to work as a sugarcane tree farmer. He then went to Lampung to work on a sugarcane plantation, employed as a tree cutter. After spending several months in Lampung, Sumatra, Sumanto befriended hunters who taught him a peculiar technique. They claimed that if the meat of hunted animals was inserted into the hunter's skin, the soul of the prey would merge with the hunter. One of the hunters attempted to stab Sumanto with a knife, but the blade broke due to Sumanto's invincibility. Sumanto then used his own fingernail to create a wound and performed a ritual following his friend's exams. Continuing Sumanto's daily life while working in Lampung, he encountered 2 robbers on his way to the sugarcane plantation. Despite being stabbed with a machete, Sumanto's invincibility caused the blade to break. Sumanto retaliated with his machete, killing one robber instantly, while the other fled in fear. Following his teacher's teachings, Sumanto sucked his thumb and licked the victim's eye to ensure a peaceful death. To avoid suspicion, Sumanto brought the robber's corpse to the field. However, a sudden guest arrived, sent from Sumanto's village to ask for money. To cover up the body, Sumanto wrapped it in paw before opening the door. The guest entered the house, but grew suspicious upon seeing someone lying in Sumanto's room. Sumanto explained that his friend was heavily intoxicated and unconscious. After the guest left, Sumanto initiated his cannibalistic act. First, he inserted small pieces of the victim's flesh into his skin to merge their souls. Then, Sumanto began making soup from the robber's corpse. The next morning, Sumanto's friends visited his house and were enticed by the delicious aroma. When Sumanto revealed the soup contained human flesh, they thought he was joking. That concludes Sumanto's previous acts of cannibalism in Lampung. In 1996, Sumanto returned to Purbalingga, Central Java. Now, let's delve into Sumanto's story in Purbalingga after his return from Lampung. As Sumanto walked the streets of Purbalingga, he crossed paths with his former lover, Vasmini. To Sumanto's dismay, Vasmini had a child, shattering his heart. In his humble home, Sumanto pondered Vasmini's new husband, only to learn from his mother that she married Wario, the youth who once assaulted Sumanto. Blaming poverty for the destruction of his love, Sumanto felt helpless. Days later, upon returning home, he found the door locked and his parents gone to Sumatra for work. Sumanto, left alone, wondered why everyone avoided him, convincing himself it was due to poverty. His behavior grew increasingly bizarre, including daring to consume live snakes in the rice fields, leading villagers to believe Sumanto had gone mad. Sumanto lived alone, and in his delusions of savoring delicious food, his mind spiraled further into chaos. Prompted by an announcement of someone's death, the idea to try human flesh emerged. While Sumanto's recent 100-ribbon cannibalism aligned with some witness statements during police interrogations, he insisted that his decision to consume human flesh was driven by delving into certain black magic. Now, let's proceed with the cannibalistic events involving Sumanto and Purbalingga, Central Java, his hometown. The residents were shocked by the discovery in the public cemetery of Purbalingga, Central Java. A newly found grave was in a horrifying state towards missing, and the burial site in disarray. The majority of the locals became restless and fearful. Some residents, deeply connected to mystical beliefs, believe that grave robbery usually occurred when someone was studying black magic. Sumanto meticulously observed and prepared for his act during the burial of Mbak Rina. The grave robbery took place on Saturday at 7:30 p.m. local time. Successfully digging Mbak Rina's grave on January 11, 2003, at 2 o'clock am local time, Sumanto placed the corpse in a sack and transported it on his bicycle to his home approximately 1.7 km away. After obtaining the corpse, Sumanto remembered his teacher's teachings. According to Sumanto, he was obliged to consume 7 corpses, keeping part of each as a talisman. Sumanto believed these talismans would protect him from any harm, especially fearing diseases due to his impoverished state. In adherence to his teacher's guidance, Sumanto preserved the skin from the thighs to wrap money as a means of obtaining wealth. He inserted a mirror into the skin bundle to prevent the spirit of the deceased from haunting him, believing this talisman would bring prosperity. In response to the disturbing discovery of a desecrated grave, the police initiated an investigation, seeking testimonies from locals in Purbalingga. Suspicions arose around Sumanto, identified by his necklace made from genitalia skin. Reports of a foul smell near Sumanto's house heightened the investigation. About 5 meters from Sumanto's shack, the police discovered bones and the remains of Mbak Rina buried half a meter deep, partially consumed by Sumanto. The police, without intense interrogation, found Sumanto calm. He openly admitted to taking Mbak Rina's corpse, cooking and consuming it. During the initial interrogation, Sumanto even offered the police to taste the human flesh dish. After confessing to his actions, Sumanto was detained for 2 days. According to the police, led by Aga Safian Nabati at the time, they found it hard to believe that Sumanto had only consumed 3 people. The possibility of more victims was raised, considering reports from residents who lost family members. Some even recorded a masseur who frequently accompanied Sumanto, disappearing after massaging him. The discovery of the stamped clothing at Sumanto's house further indicated potential additional victims. In this case, the reconstruction of events was recorded to have taken place on January 18, 2023. The reconstruction was intentionally conducted in the morning, around 6:30 a.m., when the area would typically be quiet. This was done to avoid a crowd witnessing the reconstruction. However, the residents turned out to be very enthusiastic about watching it. During the reconstruction, some residents became hysterical and frightened when they saw Sumanto reenacting how he mutilated the victim's body and consumed it. Sumanto faced charges of corpse theft and cannibalism. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison. The psychological team from the Central Java Police Psychology Department stated that Sumanto suffered from mental disorders. Considering various factors, his sentence was reduced to 5 years. Since then, Sumanto became known as a cannibal who had consumed human flesh. After being proven guilty, Sumanto was imprisoned. Now, a brief overview of Sumanto's life in prison. In prison, Sumanto earned the nickname the Cannibal of Perbalinda, making fellow inmates fearful of him. They trembled and kept their distance from Sumanto. Sumanto was placed in a cell with 2 other inmates, and they seemed uncomfortable sharing a cell with him. When a cockroach passed in front of Sumanto, he instantly caught and ate it. In the middle of the night, while all inmates were sleeping, Sumanto took a knife, cut off, and ate his own thumb. A fellow inmate witnessed this, shuddering in fear. Sumanto then approached the inmate as if to attack, but it turned out to be a nightmare for the witness. The tense atmosphere in the cell could induce such dreams. Since Sumanto's arrival, other inmates couldn't sleep due to restlessness and fear. They requested Sumanto's relocation. Despite being well-behaved during the sentence, Sumanto still invoked fear among the inmates. Eventually, they asked for him to be moved. During his time in prison, Sumanto exhibited good behavior, leading to an early release after just 2 years. In 2006, he left prison, but locals refused his return, citing concerns for the safety of the area and possible trauma, especially for the victims' families. Despite years of freedom, until now the cannibal could not back to his hometown. Due to the rejection of residents, Sumanto finally had to surrender. Spent his days in a special mental hospital. I sent you home yesterday. I have returned home 5 times. But the people were terrified. Sumanto stayed at the Inner Foundation, a rehabilitation center and mental health clinic. There, he focused on religious studies and rehabilitation to overcome his mental health issues. Sumanto engaged in social activities and gradually reintegrated into the local community within the rehabilitation complex. Sumanto's cannibalistic episode left a profound impact, creating fear and trauma among the community at that time. Residents hoped that Sumanto would not repeat his actions and could lead a positive life as a member of society. In facing any difficulty, such as poverty, it's crucial to remain patient and think rationally. It's essential not to cross the boundaries of logical norms to avoid falling into actions that may harm oneself. For instance, in Sumanto's story, life's hardships drove him to seek wealth through misguided means. Learning a flawed form of mystical knowledge resulted in fatal consequences, jeopardizing his well-being. When Sumanto felt cornered and depressed, he engaged in irrational actions, leading to mental illness and imprisonment. Hopefully, Sumanto will be accepted back into society with kindness. The lesson from his story reminds us to always be wise in facing challenges, steer clear of detrimental shortcuts, and learn from Sumanto's experience to extract positive wisdom. Thank you for tuning into this chilling story, unique holic friends. Remember, life is full of twists and turns, and it's crucial for us to take care of both our physical and mental well-being. From Sumanto's tale, let's extract the lesson not to be ensnared in the wrong path. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss out on other intriguing content. Until the next story, stay vigilant and wise.